Scholars have debated the definition of a roguelike for millennia. Some say it must be completely standard to the Berlin interpretation. Others claim that anything with replayability and flexibility counts as a roguelike. I believe both of these definitions are lacking, so instead, I will be using my own clinically correct definition of a roguelike game. Truly, the most successful roguelikes are the ones a player can play forever. With no other games, just one, forever. A hybrid of the Metroidvania and roguelike genres, Dead Cells is a triumph of both mediums. By blending the two together, the game allows the endless replayability players look for in a roguelike, while also giving short-term carrots for players to focus on. A common critique of roguelikes is that they're difficult games to stick to. When something is relatively endless, it can be hard to find achievable goals to incentivize play. Dead Cells handles this by drawing players to inaccessible areas and unlockable abilities, small goals to build to bigger achievements. It's a genuinely clever way to bring new players in and make them feel like they're growing and improving. I stand by Dead Cells being an almost perfect gateway drug into the genre. The Binding of Isaac, 2011. The creators are still adding content a decade later. Sometimes the EverQuest 2 approach to games is the correct one. If we keep putting shit in, people will play it. I can't tell you the amount of times I've returned to The Binding of Isaac. Even after 2 or 3 years, Isaac's pattern of generated rooms, limitless item combinations, and tier-based weaponry feels like home. Sure, I can't always remember what the gameplay changing pills do based on color, but it's all a part of the learning. Sometimes I remember it's a full heal, and other times I forget a choice spawns a million bombs with troll faces that chase you. I could wax poetic about the game's tight controls, simple graphical style, and dark, disgusting overall creepy tone. In reality though, it is the absolute well of content that keeps The Binding of Isaac as relevant as it did in 2011. Plus, there's an actual story ending now. Will it take you hundreds of hours of play to see it? Probably, but it is there. I haven't seen it, but to anyone who has, tell me if it's good. Quick shout, if you don't have a VPN yet, you're basically playing online with no armor. Nord VPN is the one I use. Fast, private, no hassle. Download it today with the link below. Now let's continue. Slay the Spire. Easily the roguelike that I have spent the most time with. Slay the Spire does everything correctly. Endless replayability. Check. Banger soundtrack that isn't intrusive. Also yes. Varied stages? Absolutely. You can lose several hours in a session of Slay the Spire finding new relics and cards in different orders every run. You also have very clever built-in stop times. Runs in Slay the Spire tend to last about 45 to 60 minutes. A perfect pick up and put down experience, whether you're bringing it or taking weeks between runs. Plus, because it's a card game that requires minimal manual dexterity, it is open and accommodating to all. I've spent over 500 hours in it, and I've never beaten the final boss, the Heart. I've looked up strategies online that built decks that smarter people on the internet told me to, and still no. I know it's possible. It has to be possible. Somehow even harder to describe than Loop Hero, Inscryption is essentially 3 roguelike deck builders in a bloody trench coat trying successfully to sneak into a found footage horror convention. The less you know about this game going in, the more you'll enjoy it, as we learned after a deceptive first bite. As a card game-shaped entity, it plays incredibly well and strikingly different over time. As a pseudo-escape room, it unfolds in a fascinating cascade, and as an eclectic combination of genres that by rights should not work. It is all but unrivaled, and only partially because it's basically the only one competing in this absurd competition that it invented and then invited itself to. Streets of Rogue. Its name being a witty portmanteau of Streets of Rage and Rogue gives a surprisingly okay idea of what exactly Streets of Rogue gives you. The opportunity to punch bad guys with the freedom of a large top-down map. That being said, what makes Streets of Rogue so good is the way it blends so many systems together so efficiently. Streets of Rogue has a rather wonderful responsiveness to each action. You steal from a bin, and maybe someone reports that and security becomes higher in the area, making your main mission a little harder. You're given a task and must complete it in any way you see fit. And the genius thing about Streets of Rogue is that you have to live with those decisions. Each dumb decision makes you a little smarter, your situation a little harder, and your game much more fun.
The clan elders were wrong.
Crypt of the Necrodancer turns familiar enemies and level designs into a dramatically different experience through rhythmic mechanics. The entire stage works as a musical level, and all actions are done on the beat. If you fail to move on time, you don't move. The same is not the case with enemies, who are relentless and consistent. Basically, you get good or you get dead. The formula of die, get used to the music, and get better is made much more appealing through the charming art and wonderfully catchy music. A must for a game like this. Fortunately, it nails it.
Arrive!
Noita is a fantastic little roguelike, where every pixel is physically simulated. This essentially means the entire world is incredibly malleable, cracking under the pressure of various elements and attacks. These take the form of spells you create yourself to tackle each part uniquely. These systems make Noita one of the most reactive games out there and well worth your time if you're looking for something new. It's also worth noting that ever since it came out in 2020, it's become one of the main go-tos for roguelike recommendations. It's also easily one of the best PC games you can play today. Enter the Gungeon has a wonderfully consistent tone and world, which might lead you to believe it's a gimmick, but it's actually one of the best action games ever made. It combines twin-stick combat with a roguelite progression system to keep you coming back. Almost everything in the world of Enter the Gungeon is a bullet or bullet-themed. You, a lone Gungeoneer, go into the Gungeon to search of loot, purpose, or perhaps something even greater. From its dodge roll to pushing furniture, almost every mechanic feels carefully woven into the base battle system. You might, upon entering a room, push over a chair, or some cover on the go, or you might rush your enemies in the hope of taking them down quickly. The moment-to-moment gameplay is wickedly addictive, so after each death, you just reload, hop back in to fight another day.
With a troubling serpent-like suggestion through the corrupted countryside.
It's debatable whether or not Darkest Dungeon is a roguelike or more of an RPG. Regardless, it is so phenomenal it wouldn't feel right to not include it. To put it simply, you manage a group of interchangeable heroes who must investigate the ever-changing dungeon below a manor. Putting it simply doesn't do justice to its unique stress mechanics, dark gothic graphics, and brutal difficulty. It utilizes this difficulty to reward you for each successful battle. You might come for its style, but you'll stay for its expansive customization, haunting story, and punishing design. Into the Breach is a turn-based strategy game, and more importantly, an excellent follow-up to Faster Than Light. It's a roguelite, placing you in the eyes of mech squads fighting back against a group of monsters known as the Vec. Similarly to strategy titles in games like XCOM, you're placed on a grid and get an aerial view of the combat. You have to fight any enemies you find, and keep moving to save the world. Each attempt is met with new randomly generated levels, making each run slightly different. What makes Into the Breach so distinctive is the way it blends those styles so well. Its art style is cutesy but effective at showing off everything on the battlefield with crisp retro visuals. Its sound and general game design are top-notch, offering not only a polished whip-smart experience, but also a wonderfully replayable one that turns the tiniest movements into game-winning triumphs. Unexplored 2 does two clever things with regards to its top-down fantasy adventure. First, it abolishes money. The traders in the game's many towns and settlements will only operate on the barter system. In other words, if you want a new sword, you might need to give up your boots. The second clever thing happens when you die. As your bones sink into the dirt, whole years pass until your next adventurer is ready to go. This happens in seconds. a map of the world changing as factions and evil empires spread and retreat, meaning friendly places you visited in a former life may now be held by your worst enemies. All this and other unexpected features combine to make Unexplored 2 understatedly special. It isn't a fiercely combat-heavy game, rewarding you more for chatting and sneaking than for swinging a sword. But in sticking to its principles of exploration and discovery, it stands apart as a game for those who like to wander. Risk has always been a central pillar of the roguelike. Choosing to drink an unlabeled potion is just a thirsty wager against God. Balatro takes things back to the casino. In one sense, the game is simple. It's poker. In another sense, it's lunacy. In a third sense, it's actually big too, but that's enough senses for now. You're tasked with breaking a ceiling of points by making a stronger poker hand. Perhaps you get a full house. Well done. Now the points required are tripled, and there appears to be no solution. Wrong. Balatro soon foists upon you weird and wonderful modifiers. Jokers shaped like credit cards which let you go into debt to buy upgrades. Tarot cards that turn all your spades into diamonds. Spectral cryptids that create copies of other cards held in your hand. With each upping of the ante, your stack of winnings soaring to more ludicrous heights. But we all have to cash in our chips sometime. Vampire Survivors might be the most hardcore casual game of the past decade. It's a screen-destroying, time-devouring, reverse bullet hell roguelike about building the strongest monster killer possible by vacuuming up XP crystals and treasure chests and a zillion other things that tickle your brain giddy. It's instantly compelling, dangerously replayable, and one of the strongest it's a 2 AM game in recent memory. So much so that it spawned a whole new subgenre of so-called bullet haven roguelikes, or at least jump-started a towering new wave of such games. FTL, Faster Than Light, is a captivating indie gem that puts you in the role of spaceship captain. Tasked with embarking on a perilous voyage through a hostile galaxy. In this strategic space adventure, you must skillfully manage limited resources, confront difficult choices, and engage in tactical battles against formidable enemy vessels. With its distinctive blend of strategy, roguelike elements, and intense space combat, FTL offers a challenging and addictive experience, featuring permadeath mechanics and infinite replayability. This game will push your skills and decision-making abilities to their limits, within the merciless expanse of the cosmos. Cult of the Lamb is the perfect mix of cute and creepy. You play as an adorable little lamb who starts a cult in the name of some dark, ancient god. It's part roguelike dungeon crawler, part town builder, and it all somehow works incredibly well. The combat is fast and fun, and building up your cult, complete with brainwashing rituals, sacrifices, and weird sermons, never stops being entertaining. It's like if Animal Crossing got possessed by an eldritch horror, and honestly, that's exactly the kind of twist the cozy sim genre needed. The game also got some great updates, making the cult management even deeper. So if you haven't played in a while, it's worth diving back in. This isn't just a game about surviving, but about uncovering a deeply personal psychological mystery. The fast-paced third-person shooting is some of the best on PS5, and the DualSense controller makes every weapon and movement feel incredibly responsive. The combination of action, horror, and sci-fi makes it one of the most unique experiences on the console. Every loop through its ever-changing world is intense, unpredictable, and dripping with atmosphere. I love how the game constantly keeps you on edge. Every death feels like a lesson, and every victory feels earned.
I have found a deceased Astra Scout here.
Now, if you've ever wanted a game to love you, stab you in the back, and then laugh while you fall into lava, Spelunky 2 is your kind of experience. Derek Yu and Mossmouth took the original Spelunky, already a cult classic, and somehow made it more chaotic, more unpredictable, and yes, even harder. It's a roguelike, which means every run is different, but the real quirk comes from how all the game's systems interact. Physics, enemy AI, random level generation, everything works together to create absolute carnage. You'll have runs where you're making insane plays, jumping on enemies, dodging traps, and feeling like a god. And then you'll have runs where you accidentally anger the shopkeeper, and suddenly the entire game is about surviving his shotgun vendetta. It's punishing, but never unfair. And when you finally piece together a good run, and that sense of achievement, ooh, it's unmatched. Hades. Hades is truly an amazing game. Between the story, voice acting, and art style, it is by far the most inviting game in this best roguelike games list. The gameplay is top-notch, with incredibly rewarding movement and snappy actions that invite players to experiment and feel like a mechanical god. The game is a roguelike, but it's not just about the runs. It's about the story you uncover each time you fail and try again. Each death brings you back to the House of Hades, where you'll chat with gods, bond with your frenemies, and pet Cerberus, the best three-headed boy in all of mythology. Combat is lightning fast and endlessly customizable, with a mix of weapons and blessings from Olympian gods like Zeus, Athena, and Dionysus. The boons are like party favors from your relatives, except they make you ridiculously powerful. Want a build where your shield ricochets like Captain America on caffeine? Done. Prefer to turn your foes into walking poison bombs? Easy. The combat is flawless. The real magic is in relationships you build as you crawl your way out of hell, one attempt at a time. Guys, thanks for watching, and let us know your favorite games in the comments down below. And keep watching GameWise. Thank you, and we'll see you again soon.